Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
the technician. 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 And they call him the technician.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Technician Podcast. Today I've got my man Charlie Owen with me. How are you, bro?
I'm so good, dude. I'm so excited to be here. Spit some fire with you, bring some value to the people.
Dude, it's crazy to think that the people I get on, I think about when we met. And we only met nearly a year ago?
Yeah, it's about a year.
Chocolate on the dance floor.
Such a random meeting this 7 foot tall dude.
Oh, man.
Chocolate on the dance floor at the chocolate
and I'm just
party.
vibing out, just making animal noises and shit. And for me at that point, it's a great topic to touch on straight away is I went all in without realizing what I was even going to. When Shan said, hey, do you want to come to this thing called Chocolate on the Dance Floor? I just said, yeah. Because I was at that time so invested in going towards anything and everything. And I saw it and I felt it as a possibility and an opportunity. Is that where you've sort of been on for the last few years and what you've achieved is just saying yes to everything?
Yeah, saying yes. Because when you go to these places, the statistics, the probability of meeting people like yourself when you go to these types of places, it's why not make your odds better of meeting the people that's going to take you further away, take you closer to where you want to be. So if you go to these places, Chocolate on the Dance Floor, hosted by the Chocolate Wizard, it's going to be open-minded people, isn't it?
It has to be.
Yeah, so when you go to these places, you just get exposed to all these different people, have these different conversations. It really opens your mind to what's possible. Then everyone has a little different perspective on life. And it's wow. It's so stimulating intellectually speaking to these people because they have so many different backgrounds and perspectives and life journeys up till then. So you go and meet them, you're like, oh, wow, didn't think about that. Wow, what a fun experience. Rather than just doing the same thing.
Would you almost say you've become a perspective junkie? That you actually like to get all these different perspectives to allow your perspective to transform daily?
100%. When you speak to people, I've only got 26 years of perspective. When I speak to you, how old are you, Trev?
33.
33. Yeah, we've got a combined, whatever that is, 59-ish years of perspective then. Speaking to you, I hear your perspective. I hear your journey up till now. I can learn so many lessons from you. It's good people learn from their mistakes. Great people learn from other people's mistakes. So the more people you speak to, the more insight you get into life. And I love, just on that topic, speaking, whenever I'm in a bus station or walking down the street or in a shop and I see an old person, I want to speak to them so much. I'd rather speak to an old person than a young person. Hearing their story, hearing what life was 80 years ago. It's going to be incredible. And it opens your mind up your problems are so small compared to the problems back then. But it's just complete perspective shift.
I love that. And we were talking about it before we started with you actually helped me get one of the guests that are coming on tomorrow with Marius. And the way you guys met was you, like you said, you weren't going to get on your phone and you're going to just speak to someone you're called to speak to on the train, was it?
Yeah.
And you just had the most epic chat with the most epic human.
Yeah, I was living in Brisbane and I came down the Gold Coast for a couple of days. And then I was going back to the train station, heading back up to Brisbane. And I was I'm going to set the intention of not checking my phone. What if I have this conversation that'll change my life? And then I see this big dude. He's massive, looks like a footy player. He's got cauliflower ears, everything. I'm hey, I'm Charlie. He's hey, I'm Marius. In this thick South African accent. Wow, I bet he's got a story to tell. And then a 2-hour train journey from Gold Coast to Brisbane, just spoke the whole way. And I was sharing what I was doing. He was sharing what he's been through and what he's got planned. I was wow, that's such a strong connection. And we're such close friends. We meet up and then I've met his kids. It's a strong connection.
That's cool, man. And that's come from you having the intention of not looking at your phone on a train.
Yeah, 100%.
Think about that, guys. For anyone listening, think about how many opportunities you're missing daily by having your head down. Think about, we get taught this in footy, head up, eyes up, watch the plays, be aware of your surroundings sort of thing. So knowing the way the world has gone these days, and we both know how important, technology is and how it grows our business and helps others. Although I wonder in moments that we probably both get stuck in the scrolling too, what opportunities have we missed? And it's actually instantly made me have a realization that I need to reduce my consumption. and get back into creativity, but also looking into the getting out and about, meeting people, just talking, and even maybe taking this to the streets. How cool would that be?
100%. Yeah, design your life where you forget to look at your phone. Like when you're living day by day and you forget to look at your phone, it's like time doesn't exist. When you're hanging out with good people, when you're having good conversations, you forget to look at your phone, and that's the type of life I want to live. And on the point of consumption, it's like set the intention to be a creator rather than a consumer. That's going to be the biggest change, especially in this economy. Like you can make money doing whatever you want, whatever you're interested in this day and age, because it's like whatever you're into, whatever weird, wonderful things you're into, if you speak enough about that, if you create content online, there's going to be different pools of people that you can access now, you got access to, that is going to be into the same things. You grow an audience, you make a product, you sell it to that audience, and now you're making a living doing exactly what you want to, like what you love, what you want to do with your life.
Isn't it funny to think that you can set an intention that I want to do this and I want to make money from this, and you can do that?
100%. There's so much.
Do you think people don't want to believe that it's possible to literally do whatever you want?
It's easier to be the victim than take the risk. Like it's scary going out and starting your own business. Like it can be scary.
It is, it is. Like, and I mean, touching on that, how's your journey been with what you're doing?
It's been great.
Yeah.
It's the constant iteration. When I first started, I was like, because I got into this whole personal development thing, I was going through a rough stage, and then, I went through a breakup of 7 years, and then I started getting, like, went through a really low patch for like a few months, and then I got into personal development. I started meditating, I started reading, I started journaling, and all these things were changing my life. I was like, wow, this could change so many other people's lives. So I started journaling it, but instead of using a book, I used my social media, and I just started pushing out content of everything I've learned and what could help other people. And I was getting messages like, oh my God, you've changed my life. Oh my God, you helped me get out of bed and go to the gym this morning. And those things were making me feel so good. I was like, fuck, imagine I could do this as a living. And then I got a message from a business coach down the coast here, like, hey, content's great. Do you do coaching? I was like, what's coaching? Never heard of it. And then he introduced me to NLP, like to get the tools to actually help change people's lives in a structured way and create an income from there. I was like, that's too good to be true.
Yeah.
So I followed that path. I followed my curiosity, my just saying yes, and then meeting the right people along the way. And then you just wind up exactly where you're supposed to be. And I love the business side of things. It's just constant iteration. You're doing something, you're making it better and better and better. I love it. It's a journey.
And I believe the environment you're in, without anyone knowing who you work with, which is Elizabeth M. Walker, knowing after speaking to her yesterday as well, how much she's constantly improving things. It's like, yeah, she's created this incredible thing, but I feel like what she's so great at is it's the constant improvement, not only with what she does, but herself. Have you found being in that environment around people like that, that makes you want to just keep getting better and better and better?
Yeah, it's the law of conformity, right? Like the people you hang around, you become those people.
Yeah.
Like our natural human instinct is to change who we are and what we do to fit in with the people around us. So if you're hanging around 5 alcoholics, then chances are you're going to be the 6th. If you're hanging around 5 people who are striving in business, living their best life in every area of their life, chances are you're going to be the 6th.
Yep.
So intentionally check who you're hanging around with and ask, are those the best people for where I'm wanting to go in life? And yeah, the people I'm around now, growing a massive multi-million-dollar business and being part of that, being right there with it, it's incredible seeing the inner workings of a multi-million-dollar business and the constant iterations and the constant behind-the-scenes stuff of growing that business. Like, it's a true reflection of your personality. I say, like, starting a business is the most spiritual thing you can do because it's a direct reflection of your self-worth. Like, the amount you charge is a reflection of how much you think you're worth.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to you like a year or 2 ago when you were starting your coaching stuff. And what was it, like $50 a session?
Tech Talks, yeah. I was doing like a one-off hour chat, which I was still having people have bloody breakthroughs then. And I was like, yeah, starting off like, I don't want to charge too much. It was very much on that space of self-worth was super low. So it was like, yeah, $50, $60. And then what are we looking now? A year later, you're looking probably at like $6K for a program to work with me.
Yeah.
You know, and I still feel like that's not enough sometimes because I know that to have someone have the changes I've had people have, it's priceless, man. Like, why wouldn't you want to spend money on yourself? And it's sad to think that people think spending $60K on a car is okay. but to help your mental health or your overall life and your joy in life, whoa, let's not do that.
Yeah, people don't think twice before spending 2K on an iPhone, going to Bali for 5K. But as soon as like, oh, this program, which will improve, like get you past the blocks in your life so you can actually achieve what you want, that's 5K. It's like, whoa, no chance.
Yeah, what are you serious? That's expensive. Like, compared to what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you comparing it to? Because you've clearly never done any sort of self-development stuff before. And though, like, I can sit there and say, well, I was that person. I was that person that started hearing about all these coaches and stuff a couple of years back and what they're charging. And I was like, what the fuck? That's way too much. And then I had my changes and had my experiences with mentors and what they've helped me do. And I'm like, well, I'd spend that and then times 10. Because I know that every time I spend something on myself, I just get it back.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most important factor, is that people think that doing these life coaching programs or coaching programs, whatever it is, that they're not going to get a return on their investment. But it's like, well, it's not only, as we said, it's priceless. You get to change your life and potentially be happy for the first time in 10 years, 15 years, which is what I've had.
Yeah.
You know, tell your mum you love her for the first time in 20 years. I had someone do the other day. So it's like, what sort of price can you put on that? You can't.
Put a price on it. And it's a double-edged sword with selling people into coaching, because yes, it'll change their life. But in order to say yes, you need to realize you're worth something.
Yeah.
So this is to anyone in especially doing coaching or pricing your business. Like the more you price, the more they'll pay attention. So the more they'll pay, the more they pay attention. So if if you're charging $50 for an hour session, they might not turn up. They might not take it serious. But when they're charged like $6K for a breakthrough, they're going to be committed. They're going to turn up every single week. But on sales calls, half the job is helping them get over their own shit.
Yep.
Helping them see their value, see their potential. Like that's my biggest thing, helping people realize and fulfill their potential. But they've got blinders on their life. They can't see that. So part of sales calls, part of sales is helping them see their potential.
Actual coaching during the call sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what it is, helping people get over their own shit so they can actually spend the money to change their life.
And it's interesting because I have been the person before where I used to hate sales. I got real cringe and it pissed me off. And now I understand that all it really was an unconscious program playing out, trying to protect me from something it perceived as maybe evil or something negative.
Yeah.
And that just comes off the back of, you know, what I was taught growing up. I know my parents, I love them. They gave me an awesome life and they still continue to give me so much love and life. But I know very much scarcity and lack mindset around money. Don't get me wrong, they've done well. But there was always that like thought of, oh, you can't have that. Money doesn't grow on trees. The same old, you know, little phrases that pop up. And you think, how many people actually get programmed just by passing by comments, not only in their homes, but around us? Like how many people are in that negative, like, oh, everything's so expensive and this is this and this and this. I mean, it might be.
Yeah.
But do you ever like put your eyes on that and see that? Or are you just like, oh, I'll just make more money?
Money beliefs is the biggest thing that gets passed down from generation to generation. It's like wealthy people, chances are their kids are going to be wealthy.
Yep.
Poor people, there's a strong chance they're going to also be poor unless they make the changes to break that cycle. Like it's a continuous chain. It's like your beliefs get projected onto your kids via your language, and then it goes on generation to generation. So it's so important for you to step up and be the one in the family. Ed Milet talks about it. Be the one. Like if you see a wealthy family, chances are they weren't wealthy at one point, but there was that one that stood up and said, I'm going to make the difference. I'm going to break this chain. And like my whole lineage is going to be different. Because right now you're standing on the shoulders of your parents, of your grandparents, your great-grandparents. Your lineage goes back thousands of years. So you can be the one to stand up, break the chain, and make the difference for your family.
Fuck, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Even just hearing that, like knowing that you could be the one to pay the debt. I know, what's Kobe's old trainer's name? He trained Michael Jordan, Kobe. Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he says like there's a debt to be paid. And the regret of not paying that debt weighs far heavier than actually doing the work to make it happen. And it's knowing that and knowing. It sounds like what was your lineage like coming through? What was the mindset of your parents and grandparents and everything while you were growing up? What was that like?
So I wasn't really around grandparents much. I was more around my parents, and they do right. They own like a farm in the North Wales in the UK, and they're super like small, close-minded. But they're really like they're just happy in their own little world.
Yeah.
It's like my dad's really entrepreneurial, and he always pushes to like buy property to start a business. And mum's super. She'll go to the supermarket and buy like the non-branded stuff. And be like, Mum, we don't gotta live like this no more.
We're doing okay.
Yeah, because when I was still in the UK, just over 3 years ago, my brother and I went through a period. It was like almost a year that we were trying to buy this business. It was like a multi-million-dollar business, and my dad was right behind me pushing that. And he's putting everything on the line. He's putting the farm, all the assets on the line to get a loan from the bank for us to start this business. Like my dad is pushing everything, and he's so supportive. And that was the switch to make me come over to Australia. Actually, it was we're buying this business, or I'm going traveling to Australia.
Oh.
There was this thing, and like a year of going through all the due diligence, the like lawyers, the accountants, this bank, the surveyors, like all this. We spent up around £60,000 trying to acquire this business, and then it fell through based on tax stuff.
Oh.
So at that moment, I was 21 years old, lost all this money. All this money I was gonna, because in a small town, all you care about is getting money, getting ahead of your peers, like small town mentality, like get ahead. And then I lost all this. I was back to like ground zero. My relationship wasn't great. I was like, what have I got to lose? Going to travel to Australia, completely changed my life.
Fuck, what a choice, man. What a decision. And it was a choice, right? You could have also said, oh, this didn't work out. I'm just going to be depressed now and just sit here.
It was so easy.
Dude.
Yeah.
What was the business that you were going to buy?
So it was a big block of land, and it was like in the tourism business. So there's 305 log cabins on this big block of land.
Oh, shit.
And then we sublet them out to other people. And we were about to buy it, and then it fell through. And then COVID happened for 2 years. There was no tourism.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, we would have been on the street. We'd been on the streets, bro. We'd be on millions of dollars worth of debt.
It worked out in the way that it was supposed to by the sounds of things. And although, at what point did you decide you wanted to get into entrepreneurship? Because at 21, I mean, I was the same. I was very much the same by the time I was like 15. I was thinking about clothing brands and stuff.
Yeah.
Which eventually I did start a clothing brand, which did pretty well. It's just that my mate at the time didn't want to continue on. So, but again, it's all worked out how it's supposed to. What was your experience like coming to Australia? Was it like a bit of a culture shock in any way, or?
It was a culture shock. First off, weather-wise, like I left the UK, it was March, and it was snowing. Like it was a random cold spot in March in the UK, snowing. Got on a plane, we're going to Thailand. We're going to travel around Asia for 6 months. 5 days later, all the countries are closed down during COVID. So we're like, fuck. So we're in Koh Samui, if anyone knows Thailand. So we're in Koh Samui, and then we got over to Koh Phangan on the Wednesday. So we got the tuk-tuk, got the ferry, another tuk-tuk, got into the hotel, put our bags down in this scalding heat, and then turned on the news, and ScoMo was like, we're shutting the borders on Friday to non-residents. And we're like, I've just put my bags down, I've paid for 5 nights. Fuck. So we booked a flight from... So we had to get a tuk-tuk, and then a ferry, another tuk-tuk, and then a coach to Siratani Airport, fly from Siratani to Bangkok, sleep on Bangkok Airport floor for like 10 hours, fly over to Brisbane, and then fly up to Airlie Beach and quarantine for 2 weeks.
Holy.
So that was my journey getting to Australia, which is the craziest time, because nobody knew what this thing was.
Literally.
When I was in Bangkok Airport, I was just sat in the corner, like, not talking to anyone, just breathing, like, in my own little corner. Because, like, this thing's going to kill me.
Well, the way they made it sound at the start, it was like, holy shit, this is the zombie pandemic that's going to kill everyone from all the gaming I did.
Yeah.
And same, dude, that was pure chaos that year. Like, my missus at the time got locked out of the country because she went back to Canada a few months before for Christmas to see her family. And then they were like, yep, shut it down. No one's coming back. And even Canada was worse. Like, they were even more intense with it. And I didn't see her for like 9 months. I didn't know if I was ever going to see her again.
Wow.
So you can imagine the anxiety and stuff that kicked in that year. Did you have any sort of mental health issues after the business had done this experience of coming to Australia and this pandemic they called at the time had hit? How did you move through all that, like, mentally?
I think people give into the herd mentality of the world's going to shit.
Yeah.
The boat's sinking. Like, everything's going wrong. The countries are closing down. The economy's going down. It's like, fuck, if you can actually be yourself, be sovereign, be an individual, and like opt out of the herd mentality of the world's going to shit. It's like, I'm here, I'm in my little boat on my own. Like, how am I going to do this? And actually plan out your life rather than having the mentality of the world's going to shit, I'm going to shit, might as well go down with it. It's like, how can I practically on my own get out of this? It's like, I started planning like, cool, what do I want for my life? I want this. How do I want my health to be? This. Where do I want my mindset to be? This. Cool. What's the next practical steps to make that happen? It's like, if you can break out of the herd mentality, it opens up so many doors for you. And I think it's really split people, the whole pandemic stuff. It's like, when you get mixed up with so much uncertainty, it's like, that's where the most millionaires are made. That's where most people make growth. Like, while 90% of people go down and feel like suppressed by this pandemic, that's where there's the most opportunity to have massive growth. So it's how you approach it that makes all the difference.
I love that. And then, so you've gotten to Australia, you're having this mindset of how does it look, what's it going to be, how does that journey then play out? Take us through sounds like it's a hero's journey, essentially, like what we all go through without people realizing. You watch a movie and you watch the whole, like, starts off strong and then you go through like a breakup or lose money, etc. It's all in the dumps. And then you start to get like a mentor or a trainer, some like sensei, and they start bringing you back and you go on your hero's journey. How did it play out for you? Because clearly you had a plan, you had direction, but how did you action it and make everything happen to this point?
Sounds like a Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, literally, bro. Take us through the story.
So to be honest, I didn't have a plan. Arrived in Airlie Beach, quarantined for 2 weeks, and I lived there for 6 months. And I went straight into working solar, because you have to do like 88 days regional work to get your visa in Australia if you're from outside Australia. So I did that. Went from at home where it's snowing to on the roofs of North Queensland working solar. And that was a massive shock. Like,
wow, the body would have been tested.
100%. Yeah, so I did 6 months of solar up there. And then I had a relationship at the time. I was in a relationship for like 7 years. And then we were not great. And then...
Oh, so you were still together?
Yeah, I came over
when you came over.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, so for like 7 years together, and then we're living up in Airlie Beach together, and then we just were not happy together. But when you're with someone so much, like the sunk cost fallacy plays, which is you make decisions based on how much time, money, and energy you've already invested in something, rather than what's better for you in the future.
Can you say that again for anyone listening that's probably in a relationship or a job or whatever it might be? Just repeat that for us, bro.
This plays out in so many areas of life. The sunk cost fallacy. It's making decisions based on how much time, money, and energy you've already invested in something, rather than what's better for you going forward. This plays out in every area, like investing. People will hold on to stocks even though it's going down, 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 because of how much time and energy they've already invested, rather than what's going better for them going forward. And most importantly, it plays out in relationships. It's like, I can't break up with this person because we've been together 5 years, 6 years. Like, I can't imagine forming this close of a connection with anyone else. It's like, cool, would you rather stay miserable in your current relationship or make a difference?
Oh, it blows my mind, man. Like, I've met people that are going through that where they've had someone for, it's like, since they were high school sweethearts, right? And then they're now like in their late 30s, early 40s. Not happy at all. And I'm not saying to everyone just break up if you're not happy, but it's, you know, do your things. If it hasn't worked, if you haven't, you know, recouping and doing the things to maybe make that relationship work and it's not working still, maybe it's time to call it.
Yeah, but it's scary, right?
It's very scary, right?
Step in that away from that uncertainty. So we're up in Airlie Beach for 6 months, and then we'd planned on breaking up. We had that conversation. We're going to break up.
Was it mutual?
Yeah, it was mutual. Because we're like, oh, we're not... It's like the elephant in the room. We both approached it. Like,
felt it, yeah.
Neither of us are actually happy. What are we doing together? And it was easy back in Wales because I was from a super small town of 2,000 people. All there is to be in a relationship. There's like not much to do. So you got so many social ties holding you together. But once you change your environment, like we were across the other side of the world, our environment changed. We changed as people. We're just growing further and further apart. Our futures weren't aligned. So we decided to break up. And then I was going to move to Brisbane. So fresh out of a 7-year relationship, moved to Brisbane. I knew one person in Brisbane.
Who was that?
Oh, his name's Michael Lee. He's a friend from Brisbane, from Airlie. So yeah, moved there. Landed in Brisbane. Me and my backpack. Fresh out of a 7-year relationship. So many wounds. and only knew one person. And it was the first time in a city, like moving to a city. Never been in a city before.
Country town boy, holy shit.
Yeah, this is literally square one. I was like, a year ago, I was planning on buying this multi-million-dollar business, and now I've just got my backpack at square one in Brisbane. Like, I get to decide my life from here.
It's a blank slate in the best way.
It's a total blank slate. Like, I get to decide my future. How fun's that?
Was that how you felt? Did you feel excited, or was there a bit of like nerves as well about like what's going to happen?
There was everything at that time. Like all the emotions at once. I was kicked back to survival, to be honest. We talk about like, we know values levels, and then people get kicked back to survival. I mean, what you value at that time depends on your circumstances. So at that time, food, water, and shelter, that's all I cared about. So I got a house, and then I went through a really dark slum. Like, I got around the wrong people. I was working solar again, and all these tradies, all they wanted to do is drink, do cocaine, just go out all night long. So conformity, right? I fell into that pattern of the people around me.
Of course.
So I was going out, and I was just distracting myself from the emotions I was feeling. Like, I needed to do a lot of healing from the relationship I just came out of and make a change. But I just kept on doing the same things of pushing down my emotions with, I thought alcohol, cocaine, and Tinder would solve my problems, but turns out it doesn't.
Oh, it nullifies things for a little bit, doesn't it? For a second.
It makes you okay in the short term.
Yeah.
I just wanted to feel okay in the short term and not face my problems. But then, I stopped all that. And my friend who I was living with, he was actually into a bit of personal development. And he was the first person that introduced me to this stuff. And he was like, why don't you try meditate? I was like, nah, that's for hippies. Like, why would I meditate? He's like, nah, try meditate. All right. I went and I tried to sit down in silence for 10 minutes and I couldn't do it. After 60 seconds, I was like, fuck, I just want to check my phone. I want to check who's messaged me. I was like, wow, that's a massive red flag. I can't sit with myself in silence for like 60 seconds. There's a massive red flag here. And I was like, I came out, I was like, nah, it didn't work. Like, meditation doesn't work. He's like, nah, do it for 10 minutes a day for 2 weeks. So I did it 10 minutes a day for 14 days. And it changed my life. It gave me distance from my thoughts. Like, I realized that I wasn't my thoughts. I was the observer of my thoughts, and I get to choose my reactions. And I get to choose my life. Like, so many people are wrapped up in their thoughts. Like, you are your thoughts. You are your emotions. No, you're the observer watching that. Like, if I didn't have thoughts, I'd still be Charlie, because I'm the one just watching the thoughts. So I realized that, and I was like, wow, that's changed a lot for me.
You just explained that you were conforming to the typical tradie life of drugs, alcohol, partying to nullify these pains that all of us can experience. And then to shift it, you did meditation 10 minutes a day for 14 days.
That changed my life. That one thing changed my life. And I was like, my head is the answer to my life.
Yeah. And anyone listening, this is pretty much what we do, right? I'm assuming this is similar you do with your clients. It's like some of the first things I get them to do is breathwork, meditation, and journaling daily. Like, it's a must do to allow them to start having their own little breakthroughs, because it's not necessarily me telling you what to do. It's us asking you the questions to help you uncover it within yourself, which I'm assuming that's what you started to do. Yeah. You started to see some things or hear some things within you that you hadn't really questioned before.
Yeah, because so many men are running away from their house. It's like, if you're not happy in your own head, then you're going to look for distractions to numb that. People turn to pornography, gambling, alcohol, drugs, sleeping around. All they're trying to do is run away from the voice inside their head, because they're not actually friends with themselves inside their head. And it's like, the main difference between us and dogs is that we can think inside our own head. And it's the greatest tool humans have, and it's the biggest detriment humans have.
Yep.
Because if you have a poor relationship with yourself, it's going to dictate your life. So meditation, sitting down in silence with yourself, 10 minutes a day, you become comfortable by yourself. Because I was lone, like, fuck, I felt so much loneliness in Brisbane. And I was like, I'd rather hang around negative people than be lonely. So as soon as I stopped being lonely and started actually being comfortable with who I was, I stopped hanging around with negative people. And that was another thing that changed my life. When you stop seeking people just because you're lonely, and you actually become comfortable being alone, then that changes everything. Because the most important relationship is a relationship with yourself, because you can't be alone if you're like the person you're alone with. So as long as you're happy on your own, we talked about earlier, like being happy on our own and how important that is.
Bro, honestly, like, I love my partner so much. Like, she's means the world to me and my dog, our dog. But when I'm alone, I'm so happy. Like I can do both, and I appreciate the people I've created around me because from what we've understood is that internal world I've created is so beautiful, so loved, and so high vibrational. That's all I call into my life. So think about that. Anyone listening, is that understanding that, making sense of what Charlie just said. If you keep trying to run away from yourself, you're probably going to find the same people that are doing the same thing, right? They're all trying to run away too. By alcohol, drugs. And I personally, I don't know where you sit with this, but I don't have any issue with people, doing this stuff if they're happy. If it's something that elevates you and you're in a happy place, you're doing well in life, cool. Most people aren't though.
No.
so it's like I myself, I love a few beers here and there, right? But I'm really fucking happy most of the time and my life is good. I still have my shit days, but I don't turn to drugs and alcohol to help that. I talk about it. I journal. I fight that shadow that comes up and deal with it. So what sort of things did you start to understand about yourself as you went internal and went within?
That being happy on your own is the biggest superpower. The fact that you don't need anyone else to be happy, that you stop hanging around negative people. So me actually doing the work on myself, I was getting comfortable with who I was, and then I could start figuring out what I wanted from life. So rather than running away from the shit I didn't want, like, I hate my job, I hate the people I'm around, I'm going to drink on the weekend to get away from that, to like create this other reality where I'm happy for the 2 days of the week, I actually stopped drinking on the weekend and realized like I could actually be happy without this stuff and like sustained happiness. There's so much difference between like alcohol is fun, but it's not fulfilling.
Yep.
And it's the relationship between fun and fulfillment. Like the things that are fun in the short term are generally detrimental in the long term. But things that are hard work is generally better for you in the long term. So it's like the meaning of life for me was like growing as a person and giving my best to the world, which ultimately made me proud of myself. And I was like, that's all I want. I just want to make myself proud. I was like, how am I going to do that? Like, cool. I've stopped all the negative stuff. I've stopped drinking. I've stopped doing drugs. I've stopped hanging around negative people. And now what do I want from my life? How am I going to make myself proud? And I started intentionally designing my life, like life by design of what I wanted in my life. And even this week, I still do it. I was like, oh, I feel a bit sad. And I go through all the areas in my life. I'm like, oh, I haven't had enough social connection. So I was like, straight away, pull out my phone. Hey, do you want to do something tomorrow? Yes. Meet up with friends. It's like continuously, intentionally setting out your life so it brings you joy in every area.
I like that. That's cool. What did that set you on pathwise? Because clearly where you are today, I'm so intrigued, and I'm sure anyone listening is, because I'm assuming you weren't doing content creation back in Wales.
No.
Right? So, and you've only come to Australia in 2020. This is only, 2 and a bit years ago.
Yeah.
So you stop that, you get into doing these things. Where's the next movement to take you to that next level, like in your self-development stuff?
Moving to the Gold Coast. It was massive.
Yeah, gotcha.
I was living up in Brisbane and I was watching people on the Gold Coast, people like Liz, people like Morgan, people like, there's like 5 people. I was watching them. I was like, wow, these people, do you know like the Lambo ads you watch on Facebook? It's like those people aren't
like
real.
The Ty Cruz, whatever his name is.
Ty Lopez,
yeah.
Like I was watching these people. I was living in Brisbane. I was watching the Gold Coast. And I was watching all these people doing mad things. I was like, wow, those people aren't much different from me. And then I was like, I got to get around that. So I moved to the Gold Coast and I got around the right people. I like surrounded myself, and the people I used to look up to now are like my closest friends. And you're like, wow, they still have the same problems day by day.
Yeah.
They still put their trousers on the same way. They all go to the toilet. Like they're no different from me. And they all face their demons every day. But the difference is they continuously grow and face their demons rather than run away from it. And that's why I say the biggest skill in life is being able to change your state in the moment. And that's what I've realized with people around. Like, they can change their state. I've been with people who are about to step on stage with, like, thousands of people. And it's like, they're nervous beforehand, and then they pump themselves up, and they're ready. So a lot of people rely on future them to do, like, all the work. It's like, future me is going to be successful. Future me is going to be motivated, disciplined. But future you doesn't exist. All that exists is present you. So being able to change your state in the moment is the biggest skill that I've noticed from other people I've hung around.
Wow, that just hit me like a ton of bricks because I realized what I just did this morning. I was feeling like shit this morning, bro. Like I genuinely, like, I think I sat on the toilet for like 40 minutes. I was so sick. And I just knew there had to be a job done. I told myself I was going to do 9 guests this week. And that's happening. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I love your energy. I love being around you. And I knew I wanted to be at your level. So I put music on. My journey really clicked when I started listening to just those motivational YouTube clips that get put together. That's like my pre-workout for life. And if I ever feel like shit, I'll just chuck that on because I know my unconscious consumes it so well. And it fires me the fuck up without realizing. So I was just getting around, like drinking some water, stretching a bit, doing some things. And I started to feel a bit better. And then as soon as I saw you pull up out front, I was like, it's go time. Boom.
Ready.
State was changed. I was like, yeah, let's do this. So you're so right. The people I'm around, the people we've seen, especially Liz, it's like they could be in the worst place, angry, sad, depressed, someone just died. And yet they're still able to show up.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
And that's the biggest key. You see a lot of people struggle with confidence. And confidence is built by you trusting yourself, by you saying and doing, by you doing what you say you're going to do. Like you said you're going to do 9 guests this week. Imagine you messaged 3 of them, said, oh, I'm feeling a bit crook, I don't feel like it.
Which I would have done in the past.
Yeah, you'd go home and you'd feel less than your like potential. But if you actually keep your word to yourself, you grow that confidence because like you have a relationship with your unconscious mind. So you have a conscious mind and unconscious mind. The conscious mind's like the goal setter, unconscious mind's the goal getter. So if you set all these goals and you don't fulfill them, you lose trust with your unconscious mind. And that's where I feel most like people become unconfident. Because imagine you had a friend that said they were going to do something, but they never actually did.
Or a partner. That's the one that gets a lot of women, where a lot of men say they're going to do something, and then they don't stay strong with their word.
Yeah, imagine you had that friend who just never did something. You'd lack trust in that friend. What's happening with yourself when you say you're going to do something? I'm going to go for a run tomorrow morning. You wake up, and you don't feel like it. You roll over, you check your phone, and you get into your day. It's like, imagine that over a long period of time. You're going to be unconfident. Like, things don't happen for no reason. People wonder why they're unconfident, but they don't actually do anything they set out to do.
We need to bring up a clip, which you've just reminded me of, because some of the people we were talking about before, someone that's, people that have changed our lives, people we've been seeing, this is probably one of the best things I've heard about confidence. If I can find it, because you've been watching a lot of Hormozy, I'm assuming, too.
Yeah.
Do you remember what he said about it specifically? What his
confidence isn't screaming affirmations in the mirror to yourself. It's proving that you are who you say you are.
Yes.
Is it that one?
Yeah. That you've nailed it. That's spot on. I wonder if Goggins has it as well. Let's see.
This quote from one of my friends, Alex Hormozy, that says, "You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt."
Yes, nailed.
Completely nailed.
Yes. Some of these motivational people out here, the funniest thing in the world to me, they'll go and say, when you wake up in the morning, pound your chest, look at yourself in the mirror and do all this bullshit. I hope it works. What works for me is that everyday resume, the things I know I've accomplished, the things I know I've done, real hard work, the real calluses on my mind, the real calluses on my hands. You don't need to pound your chest in the mirror anymore if you have that.
And there's this.
That is so powerful.
Wow. And I know they both work really well together. So it's like, yes, doing the things you say you're going to do, but also, the affirmations, etc., can help in the long run as well, from what I've seen. And knowing that that's something that a lot of people don't realize is that they lack confidence. Like, how do I build confidence? It's like, you know how to do it, you just don't want to do it.
Do hard shit.
Yeah.
It is so easy to be the victim, Trav.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I did it for years. Like, it's easy to get overweight. It's easy to not build your business. It's easy to do that. But at the end of the day, if you pick the easy things in the short term, it's going to be hard in the long term. It's like building a business is hard, getting fit's hard, but so is diabetes is hard, being poor is hard. Like, it's all hard. It's just like choosing your path.
Agreed. And on this path, did you get a lot of kickback from people around you? Did you have any old friends that were like, "The fuck are you doing now, you loser?"
When I was posting content online, I'd have messages, just sarcastic messages like, fucking hell, Tony Robbins, calm down. Just things like that. Like, who do you think you are? Like, posting this stuff. Who do you think you are giving people advice? I'm like, who the hell is anyone giving someone advice?
Literally.
It's like sharing my perspective, sharing my point of view that'll help other people.
You're such a piece of shit for trying to help people.
Yeah. But people project their insecurities onto you when you start doing something. I was speaking to a young guy. He lives on the coast here. He's about 17 and he's going to reach the Olympics next year in swimming.
Yeah, wow.
He's like an incredible dude. And he posted a video talking about motivation and discipline. And then heaps of his swimming mates, they gave a lot of like pushback with the, who are you posting online doing all this? But he was like, it's because I'm the best out of my group at swimming that they're trying everything to pull me down.
Pull you down, yeah, the crab's going again.
He sent me a message. He was like, how did you deal with it? And I jumped on the phone. I was like, dude, do you want to be like those people or do you want to just keep going? He's like, I just want to keep going.
Yeah, don't even bother with it. Yeah, it's like, as soon as you and it's that same old saying of like, don't drop to their level. It's like, yeah, and again, I don't like saying, which we're not above anyone or below anyone, et cetera, et cetera. We're just in different realities. And I've had many of people talking shit, good mates, like, you know, same thing, like, what are you doing? What's that podcast shit you're doing, et cetera, which I totally get. I'm at a point now with my values levels is that I understand it or make sense of it and can actually have pure compassion for anyone that talks shit to me now. I still have those moments. I'm a human, like where I want to punch someone in the face. Of course. Although I can just be at the point where I'm like, man, I get it. I feel sorry for you because I know all you want is to be doing the things that you truly want to be doing because you're watching me do that. Yeah. So it's like a reflection. It's a mirror for all their insecurities, like you said. Did you have anyone that really like tried to bring you down, or was it just like little jabs?
Comments?
Yeah.
And that comes back to the quote, outwork your self-doubt. Like at the start, they really affected me. When I put videos out and I knew I wasn't good at talking on camera, I knew I wasn't very like knowledgeable on what I wanted to teach yet. I was just finding my way. Those comments hurt a lot at the start because like, they are right. I'm not very good. I'm all this. But then I kept making videos. I made like video every day for like a year. And then I got really good at speaking on camera.
Was this only last year or the year before?
Just like last year.
Yeah, wow.
I made like a video every single day and I promised myself I'd make a video every single day. And then I got good at speaking on camera. I got good at conveying my message. And then I became so, like, I outworked my self-doubt. Every single time I was like, that wasn't good, that wasn't good, that was good. Oh, that was all right, that was all right. Oh, that was actually really good. And then by the end I was like, I'm really good. Like, I've outworked my self-doubt and I continue to outwork my self-doubt. So those little messages, they don't feel like anything anymore. They just brush over me. And like you said, with the values, like you can spot where they're at. Like, oh, they just become really, like it's hit a thorn in their side that they're not doing what they want to do with their life.
Yep.
And they have a little outburst at you. Have you experienced that?
A lot, man. And I talked to Liz about it yesterday and we were both sort of getting emotional about it because it's like, the more you shine, the more darkness that you cast or shadows you cast, and the more people that come out of the woodworks to talk more shit, right? And I can only imagine how tough it must be for her, the fact that she's giving people such incredible tools and abilities to go be successful, but as soon as they're not successful on their own accord, they blame her.
It's easy, right?
Yeah, right. So rather than them actually take responsibility for them probably not doing the work and actually doing the things and becoming more of what they want to become, they'll just put it on someone else. So, yeah, I've had that, and I'll continue to get that, which I'm so okay with, right? So
I get excited about it.
Bro, if I've got someone talking shit, I know I'm leveling up again. So, which actually I haven't had anyone for a while, so maybe I need to start doing some. Oh, actually, I did when I posted, because you've like, for anyone listening, Charlie's gone viral a few times with some epic content, especially on TikTok. But I notice on TikTok, there's some absolute shit talkers on there.
Because they're anonymous, right?
Yeah.
They're faceless. And that's the biggest problem with social media. People like trolls and that. The only way to solve that is for them to put their identity to their account. Like imagine you had to upload a passport when you started a social media account. People would stop talking shit then, wouldn't they? But yeah, I made a video on TikTok. It's about pornography and the damage that does to young people's brains. And I think it's at like 8.5 million views. And there's hundreds of thousands of comments. And I was getting death threats. I was getting death threats of people.
In comments or messages?
Just comments.
Sheesh.
people like, just going in at me. I was like, wow.
Well, for what purpose? Like, what were they saying? Like, oh, why would you say that? Like, I need porn wrong. Or something? Or
who the fuck do you think you are saying this? Like, what do you know? And like, this isn't damaging, and let people live, and just messages like that. And then it got really bad. I was getting so many messages. And by the end, I was actually enjoying it. I was like, wow, when you make a ripple, there's going to be waves.
Dude, 100%.
When you make a difference, like, don't dim your light to make the people around you feel comfortable. Just shine bright so that other people can like be inspired by you. And
just have fun with it. Some of the comments are actually hilarious, eh? Like some of they're super creative with it. So I just go back at them with like some, because at the core of me, dude, I am someone who just loves to take the piss and have fun all the time.
Yeah.
So as much as, and there's one misconception about us being coaches, etc., where, oh, these like life coaches and stuff, they're so serious. And like, fuck off. Like, I'm not. How many times are we serious behind the scenes at like NLP and stuff? Like the amount of shit that gets talked there.
Half NLP is taking the piss out of your problems because you realize no problem exists.
Yeah. It's like, I remember my first podcast interview with Morgan Nelson.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to, this is the first time I'd heard it because I'd just come out of like pretty severe, at the time, what I believed was depression, anxiety, etc., from COVID and all that. And he was like, he had a really like left field take on it at the time. And I was like, oh, whoa, you can't say that. Like depression's real and all these things. And I started to just see these different sides of it. And I was like, holy shit, Morgs was right when he said that. Like it's literally, I was just creating this problem from nothing essentially. And I can understand that there's a lot of different levels of these mental illnesses that go down.
Yeah.
By no means Charlie and I aren't like demeaning anyone or saying it's not real, etc. It's just that a lot of people create problems out of not problems.
Yeah.
You know, like it's things that you could actually work through yourself, but rather than you actually face your shit, you'd rather run away from it.
I put something on social media and it triggered a lot of people, which means it's very true. And I'm going to say a statistic, and I want to say like 73% of statistics are completely made up. So like I put 98% of the people with depression aren't actually depressed. They're eating junk food, consuming pornography, not exercising, not getting sunlight, and not doing all these healthy things. And it's like, it's easy to be depressed when you don't live like a human's supposed to live. And I get so much kickback from that. And everyone in the comments, I was like, wow, these people are all just playing victim. Like, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your depression, you get to keep it. If you fight for your anxiety, you get to keep it. It's like, do you want to keep those? No.
I love how they put ownership on it too. And I did it in the past. You know, it's my anxiety, my depression, my whatever it might be. And it's like every time you do that, you're just giving power to it. And for what purpose do you take ownership of it?
Exactly. And all these people, like when I made that video, it got 8.5 million views. And I get like all these comments. But imagine how many people I've helped. And all these men I've helped. And it comes back to my mission. I'm just like, the amount of men I've helped, if I help them get off pornography and actually go out in the world, actually find relationships, I'm making a huge impact, because on the surface, I'm like wanting to help them with their confidence and find out what they want from their life. But I was doing some studying, and in the world right now, in developed countries like Australia, the UK, America, the average couple has 1.4 children. So the biggest threat to humanity right now is population collapse. So imagine like for every couple, they're only having 1.4 children. So every generation, there's less people. And every generation, there's less people to make people. And that's a huge problem, because like for the population to go up, you need 2.1 children per couple. But it's going down heaps. And I was reading about China, for example. They're at 1.4 billion people right now. And by 2050, they reckon they're going to be at 650 million.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I read a statistic. Like in one generation, they're going to be down more than half.
Because it's a very old generation, hey, right now that's coming through.
Yeah, like how many people do you know with 3 or more kids?
2?
Yeah.
3, maybe. Like
people aren't having kids. And a lot of people put it down to the women. Like the women are prioritizing their career, birth control, all these things. But it's like men have to take responsibility. Think how small the pool of quality men's becoming when they're all addicted to video games, pornography, eating shit, not exercising, not going outside. Like, if you're a high-quality woman, why would you want to get with those blokes? So it's like I'm helping those blokes become more confident, quit those things to actually go out there, become the best version of himself, find a partner, and like have kids and grow a family and evolve.
That's true purpose there.
Yeah, like on the surface, I'm helping with their confidence and their clarity. On the back end, I'm saving humanity. Like I'm playing my part in saving humanity. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, I've tied my purpose to that now. And have you heard the story about the janitor in NASA?
No.
So a guy goes into NASA and there's this janitor just wiping piss off the toilet floor, and he was just mopping, and he was so happy. He had the biggest smile on his face, and he was just mopping up. And they're like, why are you so happy? It's like, I'm putting a man on the moon.
Oh.
I'm not mopping piss off the floor. I'm putting a man on the moon. Like, I'm making this clean so they have a better experience. Like, he's helping the system.
That's really cool. Man, that shifts perspective in a whole entire way.
Yeah, consequences, like second, third, fourth, fifth order consequences of what you're doing every day. The amount of people you're helping, the amount of people they're helping by knowing this stuff.
Shit, that instantly makes me want to go even harder with what I do.
Big time.
Because knowing what I am doing, the changes I am implementing for people and helping them have the breakthroughs, it's like, think about the generational ripple it has. There's a lot of people I help, there's a lot of relationship issues. And a lot of it can come down to that, like the porn issues, right? Like if you're constantly watching porn, then you don't want to be intimate with your partner. The intimacy dies, which passion and love and everything's based around that connection. That in itself is a good enough reason to stop watching as much porn as you are, or if not, completely cut it off. So it's like all these little things, as you said, tie into a bigger purpose. So yeah, wow. Even the podcast.
Yeah.
Instantly just I think, well, I might not be getting millions of downloads just yet, but let's say I get the 1,000 or so. That's 1,000 people that potentially go and show 2 or 3 other people each.
The ripple effect. Like, if you know something that will help other people, how dare you not share that? It's like, evil happens when good men do nothing. So if you're a man and you know what you stand for and you're not spreading that in the world, it's like evil happens when good men do nothing. So if you're like good man, like, we know a lot of things and we have good intention, we want to help people. Imagine we never shared anything.
Yeah.
The world would be worse off.
Because of the fear of what people are going to say. Imagine if we didn't share because of the fear of some random online being like, you're a fuckwit.
Yeah, like the amount that's had to happen for us to get here and be conscious and have this opportunity in life. And like what we're doing with 2 men in Australia, like the safest country in the world. And then we're worried about what other people say about us. Like, it's crazy.
Or even to think that some days you can't be bothered posting because you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
It's like...
that one person that one day might have needed that message.
Yeah. And that's... This morning I really had to fight against... I've been quite slack actually putting myself out there the last few weeks. I even was saying this to Liz yesterday. And I believe it was intentional, unconsciously, because I needed the time to implement some new systems and plan some things out. But this morning I was like, no. This is enough. You need to be getting clients in again, calling them in, actually reaching out and helping them overcome their self-sabotage to actually do this shit.
Yeah.
They're not just going to come to you.
No.
You know, for anyone listening that has a business or whatever, coaching, online brand, whatever, you do need to be selling. You know, like it may trigger you in some ways, and I've talked about this a lot in the last couple of days, but just know that you are, as Charlie just said, potentially doing a disservice by not helping them overcome that first objection. Because a lot of the time it is just an unconscious program of them saying, oh, who's this guy trying to sell to me? It's like, for a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Your relationship to being sold to is a direct reflection to your self-worth often.
Yeah.
And to those people, like, how long are you going to wait? Like, what is the cost of waiting? What's the cost of staying unhappy in your relationship, unhappy where you're at in life, continuously doing the wrong job? Like, some people just stay doing the same thing. It's like, how long are you going to wait? And broaden the opportunity you have is incredible. Like, Big Bang happened 4 billion years ago. 300,000 years ago, humans existed. So if you think about the history of mankind and our life, say it's 80 years. If you think of I heard this from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Think of a football field, and then every blade of grass is one lifetime, so 80 years, and the whole field is humanity.
Oh,
So it's 300,000 years, like a whole football pitch, and you're one blade of grass. And that's 80 years. Like, you have such an opportunity to go out and make a difference in this world, and you're scared what other people think. You're worried what can go wrong, and you're just waiting around for something to change when it's like you're the one that has to make the change.
That's big. No one's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save you. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have help. I'm sure. Have you got a coach at the moment yourself, like a mentor or anything?
Yeah, and I just continuously invest in myself, and it up-levels me so much.
Yeah.
I remember I wasn't doing anything in my business. I became really slack. And then I invested, I think it was $8,500 in business coaching. And it just kicked me up the ass. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it again.
I'm looking for a business coach at the moment. That's something I need. It's like, I'm obviously around incredible people, but it's different when you've actually invested in yourself to do something with someone.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a vote. Like, every dollar you spend is a vote towards the future you want. So imagine putting that vote on yourself. Imagine voting for yourself, what you could achieve.
That's cool. I like that. And you've clearly been doing that the last couple of years. So you get to a point where, how did you get this job with Liz that you've been doing now for a little while?
I just saw a gap in the market.
Nice.
I was like, I'm really good at this.
Hey.
You need this.
From doing it daily.
Yeah. Robert Greene has a book called Mastery. And the first point of mastery is learning from the best people. It's like, get in no matter how with the best people. And I look on the Gold Coast and like, who's the biggest personal development person? Who's making the most money? I'm like, wow, these people, how can I get in there? Okay, I'm really good at this. What do they need? Oh, they need this. How can I approach them with this? It's like, find the gaps in the market and even work under people who are doing incredible things, because you learn, you'll adopt, you'll become them eventually. It's powerful.
I like that. And now you're at this point and doing very well with everything, bro, from what I see from the outside in, obviously. How's everything going with what you're wanting to do now? Like, what's your trajectory for this 2023?
Keep doing the same stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like,
keep sharpening the knife.
Keep sharpening the knife. I just want to grow myself and then just impact more people. My biggest mission is to help people realize and fulfill their full potential. And the only way I'm going to do that is waking up every morning, making content, approaching more people, speaking to more people. It's all those little things every single day that's going to make the big impact in the long term.
Agreed. It's something. Have you found that on this journey, especially working with men, did you find it tough to get into initially? Like, obviously I help men and women, specifically men's work with heart-led warriors. Have you found that it's a market that's changing quite quickly? There's more and more men wanting to do the work?
It depends where you are.
Yeah, gotcha. Like demographics.
Yeah, a lot of men, there's a little block that men have to get over, and it's a little ego drop that they are not where they want to be, and they're actually putting their hand out and asking for help. And really thinking about, like, what makes people want to change? Like, what gets you to the point where you're like, okay, now I'm ready. Like, I've been living my life all this point, and then at some point there's going to be a turning point. It's like, what is that? And a lot of the time it's when your life gets so shit that you have to do something about it. And it's like, why wait until you get to that point? Imagine you did that with your physical health. Imagine being that reactive that you wait until you have a heart attack or diabetes to be like, I'll go to the gym. But people are reactive with their mental health. They wait till they're depressed. They wait till they've got anxiety, they're suicidal, to do something about it, rather than being proactive. Be like, I'm going to seek a coach. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this in order to have the best mental health, rather than being reactive and be like, okay, I'm broken enough. I'm ready.
Literally.
That's what a lot of men do. They're like, okay, it's time.
Okay, I can barely get out of bed.
Yeah, my anxiety's that bad. I'm ready. It's like, why not be reactive and get to where you want to be before that happens?
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's, again, there's just a cultural belief, right? From what I've seen, it's the old, especially in Australia. I don't know if it's like what it's like back home for you, but it's this belief of the whole harden up. It's still there. It's still like, you'll be right, mate. I still have mates I constantly tell, bro, reach out when you need a hand. And they'll say the same to me, and yet they still won't do it. You know, it's like you still have to chase them down and be like, I know you're fucking struggling.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a burden. There's none of this bullshit that you get told to blah, 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 blah. It's like, mate, if you just need to send me a fucking 40-page long message to get it off your chest, do it. You know, I'm not here to... All men want to try to fix things. It's like, no, I will always say, do you want support or solutions? So do you need me to just listen for an hour? Or do you want me to provide some advice, which I know I can do? And it's like as simple as that for any men listening. To get started, start writing some shit down. Like Charlie said, journal, do a video diary. I've had men do that before and it was really powerful because they were actually watching themselves. So by them seeing how they speak and what they look like when they were speaking about what they spoke about, that really hit them hard. So that was really cool. So there's so many little ways to do that.
Starting small.
Yeah.
People think they should be better straight away. But it's like, if you can read one page that day, if you can meditate, like just meditate that day, it's those little things that add up. And it can be a real downward spiral. We spoke about like during the pandemic and people felt a lot of loneliness locked down in their homes. And it's like, you feel lonely, so you feel sad, so your self-worth goes down, which makes you more sad and lonely, and your self-worth gets even lower. So the further people go down this spiral, the harder it is to ask for help, because you have to have a little bit of self-worth to like ask for help, to know you're worthy of help. But people can often go down this spiral so long that it gets harder and harder to ask for help. But all it takes is reaching out your hand once, asking help once. Literally,
which... Charlie and I will do our best now to offer some help on a few different topics. Just like a little quickfire one.
Love it.
So I've put here 20 different topics that a lot of young men deal with. And it'll be obviously older men as well. Anywhere from, I would say, let's just say from birth to fucking 100 years old. So, number one, identity crisis. What would you suggest someone struggling to understand who they are, what they are? What would be the best thing for them to do?
All personal development is a change of identity. So imagine going out drinking and you don't want to drink, and someone offers you a drink. You're like, "Oh, I'm trying not to drink." They'll be able to convince you. But if you go out and be like, "I'm not a drinker," they're like, "Whoa, okay." So be so sure of who you are.
Set the boundaries.
Yeah, set the boundaries. Choose who you want to be. Start living like the identity. Like if you set an identity out, and then you start acting like that person, soon enough you'll be that person. So choose who you want to be. It's like choose your character.
Yeah, that's how I play games. I mean, play life. I literally treat it as a game. I've been a gamer my whole life. It was, for me, toxic in the beginning because it was an escape from reality. So it was like escaping my emotions back then. These days I just have a bit of fun. It's me turning off, essentially.
Yeah.
I believe from what I experienced with my identity crisis at 17 when I quit football, I wasn't the football player anymore. And then it was just a journey of self-discovery. I realized I could try anything, which I did. I tried all different jobs, went through all these ups and downs. And one thing with identity crisis is that I find a lot of men specifically, they get scared of letting go of what they are or who they were. And they worry about what everyone's going to think. And it's like, don't even think about that. Think about how you're going to feel. If you need to change or, become something, do it. See what happens.
Yeah.
Could be and most likely will be the best thing you've ever done.
Like, no one gets out of here alive.
No.
Why not just live how you want to live?
Dude, and like you said, the average age, let's call it 75, maybe tops. I'm now 33, so I've technically only got 40 years left. When I say only, that's a lot of time.
Did a lot of things.
Bro, 12 months I've done a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Mental health issues. So I guess you'd be talking about your anxiety, your depression, exactly. What you were talking about before with the foundational health stuff, what would be some things, what would be your top 5 for someone that's really in that state right now, just to help get their head above the water a little bit, breathing?
Everything comes down to the principles, the basics. Like there's 5 things generally, which will solve 95% of your problems. Sleep, make sure you sleep well.
100%, back that one.
Drink water. Don't fill your body with shit. Have social connection. Speak to people. Humans are built to talk. Nature. It's like get out in nature.
Grounding.
Yeah. And exercise. Like if you do those 5 things consistently, like 90% of mental health will go away.
You will feel better.
You will feel better, 100%. If you feel like shit right now, assess every one of those areas and see where you're slacking. Chances are you are.
Perfect. relationships.
Ooh.
So this is obviously multifaceted. There's so many, but we'll give one of the most common things I find is that I've had a few friends reach out recently. I've got a lot of female friends. I've always loved, because I was so feminine for so many years, I connected with women really well. Now I think about that, but I've also got a really good integrated masculine, which helps them feel safe too. So what they're looking for and what they're struggling with recently is a lot of little boys they're dating. So a lot of little boys that are so wounded and hating their jobs, and these men that just are stuck in this cycle, as we said before, of getting on the piss every weekend, getting on the cocaine, et cetera, et cetera. How can we stop that trend?
Yeah, it's just the self-improvement stuff.
Yeah.
Your relationship's going to be a direct reflection of where you're at. Like, I've seen a trend over my life. I look at relationships, I'm like, it's a good litmus paper, like a test to see where you were at. And then the quality of women, like my girlfriend now, we're the best relationship ever.
Yeah, Mia's awesome, bro.
Yeah, she's incredible. I'm like, wow, that's such a testament to where I'm at. So all it comes down to with your relationships is improve yourself.
So your self-love relationship would be the key to that, is what you're saying, essentially.
Yeah. Like in our relationship, the most important person in our relationship is me.
Yeah.
And to her, I don't want to be the most important. I want her to be the most important.
Do you find, have you seen in your experience that a lot of people get attached?
Yeah.
They get attached to the person even though they might be classed as toxic, but they get caught up in, you know, do they feel their love language? Do they... I've actually seen some relationships where people get so attached to the toxic makeups and breakups.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the chemical attraction to the whole fuck you, you're blah, blah. And then the next day they have sex and it feels so good because it's like that coming together again. So
people love that shit. It's the whole existential kink and shadow work stuff. Like women, for example, who find themselves in a abusive relationship. And it was in that book, like in abusive relationship, they'll keep attracting that abuse because really deep down, that abuse brings them attention or brings them something.
There's a secondary gain to it.
A secondary gain, right?
Yeah, gotcha. That's a big one. Money management.
This is huge. A lot of people work on self-development and they're like, I'll meditate, I'll read, I'll do this. And they're really surface level things that'll get you started. But if you've got something that's massively stressing you, those surface level things aren't going to do that much. Like if you haven't got anywhere to live, if you're massively in debt and you're stressing about it, if you're like all these things, if you've got massive stresses in your life, surface level things will get you started, but it won't solve the problem. So face the problems. Like in order to change reality, you must face it. So as soon as you face the realities and what you've got to deal with and start attacking it, the better.
Yeah, and it's from my personal experiences, understanding exactly what Charlie said. A lot of people avoid like their tax or their debt and all these other things, right? But it's like if you just get started on it, you'll be surprised by how quickly it goes. Like I'm pretty sure I've already nearly paid off the NLP courses from last year without even realizing. I didn't even notice it coming out weekly, and it's like already done. So knowing that, you know, nearly over $10,000 worth of self-development's sorted almost is great.
Yeah.
Substance abuse, which we've obviously touched on a few times.
Yeah, people use it to lean on as a crutch.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't understand like neurotransmitters, right? Especially with the dopamine factor. And how can they then, okay, because when we remove something, we usually replace it with something. So usually if you get someone off cigarettes, they get fucking e-cigs or something like that, you know.
There's a void.
Vape or something. So how can they go from that, say they do a dopamine detox and they get rid of the porn, they get rid of the pokies, whatever it might be, what's some other great dopamine hits that they can get?
Exercise.
Yep.
Sunlight. Talking to people.
Yep.
I mean, fuck. A lot of people...
Breath work.
Yeah. Personal development's, it's really simple, but it's hard. A lot of people think it's easy, but they make it complicated.
Yep.
They think they have to do all these things, which they think is supposed to be easy, and they try and find the easiest route every time, the next hack. But it comes down to sleeping well, exercising, talking to people, getting in nature, and consuming good things.
Again, people don't want it to be easy or simple.
No.
They want to believe that it's like everything's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting mindset.
And it's working out, what does that substance give you? For me, alcohol back in the day gave me confidence. I could speak to people. Like girls, for example, like I couldn't speak to girls sober. God, that scared the life out of me. But if I was pissed up, it changed my identity. Like I wouldn't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah,
I just talk.
yeah.
So it's like, what does that substance give you, and how can you bring that into your sober life?
Beautiful. Loneliness or isolation?
Intentionally setting out plans to see people. Like I felt a bit of loneliness this week, and I was just like, cool. I'll bring out Instagram, message people, and see who wants to catch up. Yeah, it's really simple.
Lack of self-esteem or lack of confidence.
Make yourself proud. Say what you do. What you say
you're going to say you're going to do. Yep. Difficulty expressing emotions.
Start small. Express them to yourself.
Like the writing and stuff we were saying before.
Journaling.
Yep. Physical and sexual health.
Go to the gym. Like, go to the gym. That'll increase your libido so much. Like, if you're struggling, if you're having to watch pornography and stuff like that, it's so easy to access. 2 clicks and you can watch any porn in the world. But it doesn't give you fulfillment. It won't give you a lasting relationship. I've
seen a current study that the test levels in men are fucking way down too.
Dude, have you seen our grandfather's sperm count is double what ours are? 2 generations ago, sperm count was double what they are today.
Yeah.
Because testosterone's dropped, like diet, all the medication stuff.
Everything, man. Lifestyle, hey. Like, even people don't even realize that getting sun is super important. But, like, without sunscreen and shit, you know? Like, just a little bit, controlled pieces, you know, go out for, like, 15, 20 minutes. Because we've been told it's such a big enemy. And yet, it is so vital for life.
There's so many lies, bro.
But you know, knowing that anyone listening, obviously you've probably heard a lot of this stuff going around. Like Joe Rogan talks about it all the time, all the seed oils and stuff. Like I said this to Jay yesterday. Like I still eat pretty healthy, considering the size I am. I would say it's a lot down to I still drink beers here and there. I still have KFC maybe once every couple of weeks. I still eat the shit. It's just not every fucking day or like 4 or 5 times a week. I still eat like a lot of good quality meat, eggs. I'm mostly meat based essentially, and fruit and supplements, protein. So knowing that it's pretty simple, it's pretty fucking straightforward.
It's simple, but it can be hard.
Yeah, yeah.
The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do.
Well, actually, now that we've said yes, obviously getting to the gym, etc. But why? Say I'm a young man that doesn't know what the fuck he's doing in the gym. Where would I start then? Do you still believe even just going down to a local park and just going for sprints or something would help out?
Anything to get your heart rate up.
Yep.
And there is no excuse for learning anything these days. All the information you ever need is online at your fingertips.
Yep.
It's up to you to utilize it.
And do not worry what anyone else thinks at the gym. Who gives a fuck? They're all worried about their own shit.
The best thing about aging is giving less of a fuck about what other people think. It's like as you get older, insecurities just drop off. And I'm like, wow, I wish I was this free of insecurity at 19, 20 when I first started gym.
Yeah, dude, I was super insecure. I used to be the most shy, awkward dude ever. I'd get really rosy red cheeks anytime, anywhere I went. Like, I'd just freak out. And I still get it a bit here and there, but it's more of just normal for me. And then I'd used to even, like, in pictures, I'd hide my receding hairline.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh no, like, look at my forehead and this. I couldn't give a fuck about my big old head these days. Like, it's part of aging. It's part of who I am. And I love myself, dude. It's like, who cares? And I feel that what's happened is through that confidence piece is that, as you said, let's just say you go into the gym 3 times this week. Make sure you hit all 3 times. If you only go for 20 minutes, cool. But you're building that confidence. Yeah. Just turn up, show up.
Yeah. It's like 90% of success is just showing up.
100%.
Joe Rogan talks about it. Imagine there's a documentary being filmed on your life right now.
Yeah, I love that one.
You're just being watched, like, sitting down eating shit instead of going to the gym. Shit documentary, wouldn't
it? Yeah. Fitting in and peer pressure.
This all comes down to the confidence stuff.
Yeah.
Like, say what you
100%.
Do what you say you're going to do.
Body image, same thing. Stress and anxiety, we talked about that. Foundational health stuff.
Body image is a big thing. Like, a lot of men have self-image issues.
I said to Chris yesterday, he's a big, sexy, like, bodybuilder dude. And as much as I embrace, like, I'm a big, powerful dude, you know, I'm 6'5", 145 kilos and move quite well still, but I still catch myself, like, I'll be sitting at home, just like shirt off on the computer, and I'll see the mirror in the back, and I'm like, oh, look at that gut. And for a second, I'll be like, fuck. But if I really cared, I'd do something about it, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's just catching yourself at the moment to be like, it's okay. I'm happy. I'm healthy. Could be better. And I'm doing that. I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
So it's like knowing that the body image comes from self again, right? Embrace yourself, love yourself, do the work to get to that point, and eventually you just won't care what anyone thinks.
It all comes to self-love, hey?
Literally. Academic and educational pressure.
Pressure.
It's almost like they expect, I would say what they've meant there is that you're expected to go to uni or something like that. You're expected to, you have to finish year 12. You have to do this. And it's like, man, look at what Gary Vee talks about, where he dropped out super early and now he's one of the biggest millionaires in the world. Not saying everyone's going to be Gary Vee, but just find your thing.
So many beliefs are outdated.
Oh.
Like we take on beliefs from our parents, and our parents took on beliefs from their parents. Like, think how outdated our beliefs are. Like, to anyone watching, do this exercise. Imagine you were born today. Imagine you woke up, you were fresh, you were out the womb, you're a baby, and you get to choose your beliefs. You get to choose what character traits you have, what beliefs you have, what you want to do with your life, how you want to show up in your life. Like, you get to choose, but it's bringing that awareness around that you have been living with other people's beliefs unconsciously. You get to choose your reality.
I like that. That's cool. Balancing personal and professional life.
They're all one for me at the minute.
Yeah.
It's like, if you enjoy what you do, there shouldn't be a difference.
Yeah. Agreed. And people will say, oh, but, you know, I've got to work in this. Do you?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about maybe changing a job? Have you ever thought about maybe starting that business you wanted to start? Like it's so easy to drop into effect of everything. And it's knowing that the changes can be made if you decide, like as you said, coming down to choice again. Making meaningful connections.
This is huge. The quality of your life comes down to the quality of your relationships. Like, what's the point of life if you just stay inside all day and not talk to anyone? Like, humans, going back generations, if you're unhappy, you just think about, like, humans been around 300,000 years, and what was important to us back then is likely what we need now as well. And back then, all we used to do is share stories around the campfire, talk about our days, talk about this buffalo we saw down the road, talk about this fruit, talk about who's sleeping with who, like even gossip. Like the main form of communication was built for the gossiping back in the day. Yeah, that's what they found. So it's like you need to speak to people on a daily basis in order to have a good quality of life.
I saw a comedian drop something the other day. It was fucking hilarious. He's like, I don't think I'd die from the zombie invasion. I think what I'd die from is not having anyone to talk shit about with it. Like it's, you know, I see Jan get eaten by that zombie the other day, and like the gossip that comes with all talking about the shit that's going down.
Yeah.
That is a foundational thing for a lot of people. And I know how much people love gossip. They love being able to talk about, oh, did you hear about what's happening? Maybe not focus on the gossip thing. Maybe find someone you can have those conversations with that go deep.
Yeah.
You know, like even this conversation we've had today has been epic, and we've talked about things that go much deeper than the surface. And you can do that with anyone.
Yeah.
Like you said, you started talking to Marius on the train, and I'm sure you went pretty fucking deep straight away.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Right? So you can have these connections. It's just whether you choose to or not.
And, what was I going to say? Yeah, practice for 1 week. Like, if you're watching this, practice for 1 week.
Just meeting randoms?
No, like gossiping about people, but you're not allowed to say a negative thing.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like, I gossip about a lot of people. I'm like, oh, that content's so good. Like, wow, this person's doing great.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the more you can talk good about people, the more you'll attract that into your life.
Well, it's almost like you're talking good about yourself then, right?
Yeah.
I like that. So, social media impact.
Be a creator, not a consumer.
Yep.
Like, you can create any life you want. You can create any business you want by talking about what you're interested in, building an audience and monetizing the audience. Let's
say we've got old mates sitting over here that just cannot stop scrolling. They love the feeling of scrolling through TikTok for hours and the dopamine hit they get. What would you say, maybe like an intentional scroll? You're allowed to set a timer. This is to sort of get them off from doing it so much. Maybe set a timer for like 10, 15 minutes a night. You get to scroll and then you're done.
And getting them to face the reality. Like, if you want to do that, have fun wasting your life.
Yeah.
It's getting them to face that. And then, like, the easiest way to change habits is to remove it from your environment.
Yep.
Like, if you haven't got chocolate in the fridge, you can't eat chocolate. If you haven't got your phone with you, you can't check your phone. Design your environment.
Put your phone in the other room. If you're bad for laying in bed scrolling on your phone, which I do that sometimes, maybe chuck it in another room when you go to sleep.
The biggest tip, this has changed our relationship a lot, is sleeping with our phones outside the room. Like, as soon as we go into our room, phones aren't allowed in there. So we charge our phones in another room.
What time's that, roughly?
Oh, I'm bed early these days, bro.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to bed like 9 o'clock, getting up at 5 these days.
Yep.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So whenever we go into the bedroom to, like, go to bed, we just put our phones on charge and put it in another room. Because when people wake up in the morning, if they see their phone, there's like a trigger to check it. But if you're checking your phone before you say good morning to your partner, your actions are showing your partner that you find your phone more important than your partner.
That's a big one. Sheesh.
Yeah.
That could go back to relationships before too, guys. The pressure to succeed.
Recognizing that your timeline is unique and that your definition of success is completely different to other people's. People look at social media for comparison, and social media makes you want things that you don't even care about.
Yeah, and define your success.
Yeah.
You know, for me, success, originally when I first started doing all this stuff, I was like, yeah, I want to impact the world. I want to have this massive business that makes millions. Now that I realize the amount of work that comes with that, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Maybe make a couple $100,000 a year, have a nice house, family, and yeah, bro, and just enjoying life, like traveling. Jordan Peterson said it's like anything over 180K can't make any difference to your happiness.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he's seen in a general, they must have done some sort of study about what you can do, what you can achieve, what you can afford, etc. I don't know if that's gross or net. I would say it's net.
The chart drops off.
Yeah, it starts to drop off when it's like, does it actually make a difference? Because someone said it the other day where it was like they had the most money they'd ever had, but they were Googling, how do I become happy? You know, like, at what point do you start to look inwards rather than trying to build yourself through the external shit?
How are you going to know when you're successful if you've never defined what success means to you?
Yeah.
Like, people just go about life and they never feel successful. Well, how are you going to hit a target that doesn't exist? You have to set out what success means to you. And with the social media stuff, I remember just in my life, I've recognized the relationship between the more I'm on social media, the happier I look on social media, the less happy I am in actual life. I remember when I lived in Brisbane, I was just posting all this on my social media to look happy. All I cared about was looking happy to my friends back home.
Yeah, of course. I made the right decision.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's crazy looking back.
How do you define your success?
Choosing how I want to spend my time. Enjoying the passage of time.
Being able to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, you design this day because you're able to.
Yeah. Success is having something meaningful I'm working towards and having good people around me.
Love that. And last one, navigating the current dating scene.
Improve yourself. If you're young, who you spend the rest of your life with will be the biggest decision you make in your life. That'll determine your business success, your happiness overall, your finances, everything. Who you settle down with is the most important decision you'll ever make. So become the best version of you to attract the best partner possible. And if you're not the best version of you, well, work pretty hard because it's going to affect your relationships, which will affect the rest of your life.
Love that. Dude, we nailed that. We're now at hour 20. Easy.
Fuck yeah.
Is there any passing quotes or anything you want to leave with anyone?
Work really hard and be really proud of yourself.
Love it. And where can people find you?
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'd say easiest is Instagram. So just Charlie Owen Coach on Instagram. Reach out to me there, consume some content. Like, what you consume, like, becomes who you are eventually. It'll affect your actions, the way you think. So consume the good information. I'm on Instagram. Yeah, all the socials.
Just Charlie Owen?
Charlie Owen Coach.
Yeah, perfect. Are you taking one-on-one clients at the moment?
Yeah, doing one-on-ones and then moving into groups more.
Epic. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, bro. We absolutely killed that. I know you're going to do beautiful things this year. You're going traveling soon?
Yeah, dude, in April, heading off home. Haven't seen my family in like 3 years.
Shit.
So really gonna make an effort to go home and like get around family.
Are you gonna do the videos like Eros did?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Surprise the family.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
Yeah, I've it's been creeping up a lot more, like the feelings of missing home. So I'm really gonna scratch that itch and go home and spend some quality time.
Are you a little bit nervous about how you're going to be received and how you're going to receive going back home?
I was speaking to my cousin back home, and her mum and my dad are brother and sister, and they're like, "Oh, I hope he's not a weirdo. Like, I hope he hasn't changed too much. I hope he's not weird when he gets home." I'm like, weird compared to what?
Yeah, exactly. And what's weird? The etymology of weird. It's like, it actually means something about your journey or something like that. It's not a bad word.
No.
So...
yeah, I'm excited overall.
Yeah, bro, that's exciting.
To see the world through a different lens. To see my hometown through a different lens.
That'd be cool.
I can't wait.
Well, thank you for listening, guys. Thank you, Charlie. Absolutely
you,
amazing chat. And I believe this will be out in probably about 3 or 4 weeks.
Nice.
Seeing as we're pumping out so many guests. But, man, can't wait to see what you do. And thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Protect me.